I'm his.
I'm hers.
I'm theirs.
And this is the His, Hers, and Theirs podcast.
So I'm looking kind of glad we're starting over because I might have to re-talk some of the shit I was talking about. So today we'll be discussing dating in DC, specifically as a gay man, a trans woman, and someone who is non-binary. While our experiences differ, I think there's one thing at the root of it all, and that is the patriarchy. I fear. So we're going to get into it. I would say that as a gay man, my dating experience is probably, like, specifically in DC, is probably the easiest amongst us three, and probably not even just in DC. Well, not even probably, just not even in DC, just generally my dating experiences, specifically in the LGBTQ community, is a lot easier than theirs, I'm sure. But as someone who is more feminine presenting most times, it's still not easy. And I think a big reason for that is perceived masculinity. And I think I say perceived because, you know, a lot of people chase the idea of dating someone who is masculine and who has all of these masculine characteristics, but most times that is just an appearance, and that concept of that person or those behaviors do not extend beyond that appearance. In that, like, a lot of y'all niggas is gayer than me. That's just I guess that's the easiest way for me to that's like the easiest way for me to say it, to be honest. But it's like
they're more queer than you.
Yeah, it's just and it's all a look, like, because I think even being more feminine presenting, a lot of things about me are very masculine, just by nature, just in the way that I show up, in the way that I do things, and more often than not, that does not exist in the men that are being chased or perceived for the masculinity that they, you know, quote unquote have.
You want me to go next?
Yeah, go ahead.
Where do I start? I think dating as a black trans woman is already a conundrum. I think once you add the nuance of living in DC, being racially ambiguous at times, depending on my hair or my makeup.
All the time. All the time.
I've met some characters. I've for sure went on a date with somebody's husband and boyfriend and did not know. Like, dating as a trans woman, like, really showed me, like, these niggas be cheating. Like, the niggas be cheating. And it's not like just no one-off. They be having, like, full rosters with a whole family. And they're not even hiding it well, because now that I've, like, experienced dating as a trans woman, I kind of know the signs. I kind of know what to look for. And I say all that to say, a lot of these niggas are cheaters, and they're not even good at cheating well. It's like, you can look on their profile, and you'll see a bathroom pic. But me, whose toothbrush is that? You don't got no hair. Why you got ass control? I'm like, the stuff doesn't make sense. I'm like, you got a bitch. Like, you got a bitch. It doesn't make sense. And then you'll be like, oh, it's my sister's. I don't think so. I think DC specifically being a melting pot of multiple cultures and ethnicities is a good thing. But
it's a melting pot of something for sure.
I think there's a little bit of a chip on some of these men's shoulder, especially in regards to dating trans women, because they feel like trans women are beneath them, so to speak. And it shows up in the way that they pursue you, in the dates that they suggest, in the boundaries they try to cross. And I feel like so many times I've had to advocate for myself simply because I'm not comfortable doing something with somebody I just met, and I'm met with, like, hostility because I should be giving this to you anyway because you even entertain me, and I've never been desperate. So
yeah,
I don't think that my soulmate lives in or is from the DMV. I just don't personally find myself compatible with most men I meet out here. But who knows?
Me and you both. Sometimes these niggas much as alike too. Wait, we don't have to. No, we don't have to put it in. But DC just, I don't know, being a non-binary person here, that's already a headache in itself because nobody really, for the most part, when I talk to people in the spaces that I like to frequent, when being non-binary comes up, they don't really even know what that is. Like, I feel like a lot of the gay men in DC are very like old school with it, and it's very much so either you a boy, you a girl, you a doll. In my experience with these men in DC being non-binary, they always try to tell me that I'm confused and I need to be either or they want me to be very masculine, or they want me to be very feminine, because I can do both, you know. I do work out, I got like a little physique on me, so they either want me like that, or they want me like this. It's no like in between. When I try to tell them that I really am a non-binary person through and through, they'd be like, no you're not. And I'm like, but I am. And they don't really understand how to, I guess, accept me for whatever version of myself I am that day. Yeah, we barely even get that far. So it's either we be talking and it just turns into us being friends, or we be talking and it turns into us doing something we probably shouldn't be doing anyways. So
I think it also goes to illiteracy. I think a lot of people, I'm just being real. I don't think a lot of, not to say a lot of people in the DMV are smart, but I think when we're frequenting urban spaces.
When we frequent to that club called Nelly's, yeah, I say it, Nelly's.
I didn't want to say that, but you said. When we frequent spaces like Nelly's, we're in crowds of people that should have been left behind in public school.
They were left
for
behind.
sure. For sure.
They were left behind.
And it shows in the interactions we have.
Not since George Bush.
Oh.
Yeah. It shows in the interactions we have where we'll be out and somebody's like, oh, I thought she was real fish.
Yeah, like.
And it's like.
That's not what I'm trying to be. I think a lot of the men in DC, like when they see me walk to a room, they kind of assume that like I'm a girl, or like I'm going by like she, her pronouns. But when I start talking and stuff, they be like, oh, like yeah.
And sometimes, honestly, I just thought of this. I wonder if it's like intentional ignorance, because I think about when we were out and that guy was like, you know, y'all got into it and he was like, oh, you want to be a boy, and it was kind of like you were saying that to be derogatory, and the only way in which you would know, maybe I'm giving him too much credit for thinking this much, but to me, the only way that you would even think that that would be an insult is if you knew that this person did not identify as such.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's illiteracy as well, because most of these people can't tell you what the binary means.
No.
Yeah,
No.
and I think like this I might go on like a little rant here, but there is, I guess we're going to go back to this conversation of like perceived masculinity and what people think that is.
Use a
versus what it like actually encompasses, and I'm going to talk about like, so there was a time where like very intentionally like I experimented with going into like nightlife spaces with a more feminine appearance versus one that might be perceived as more masculine, though like the person that I am never changed, and the attention that was given based on like either when exactly as you guys might imagine, like people were more attracted or more willing to approach this masculine figure than otherwise, which is strange because again, this masculinity, I keep saying perceived because it always is just perceived. It does not exist beyond physical appearance. And I think in many ways, like the way that I show up, the way that I handle things, not even just for myself, but for other people at times, a lot of times, is a lot more masculine than anything that I've ever seen from a lot of these men out here, to be honest.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yep. Oh. Yeah. Now I have a question for you guys. I feel like I'm always one asking questions.
I had one too. We gonna get some on there.
What? Give me like a story time of like your worst experience with a
Bitch,
dude.
why was that? That's literally the question I had. Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah, because I need to get into the thing.
I got many. Fuck.
I'm asking a question like I don't already know, but
the worst dating. The viewers don't.
No, that's what I'm saying.
The worst dating experience I've had in DC.
You don't have to be dating. It could be like a date. It could be a link.
Yeah, let me.
What's my aspiration in life?
Okay, so I'm thinking of, like, I got a few, but I want to specifically draw on one that is relevant to what I had been discussing as it pertains to perceived masculinity. And this kind of worked in reverse. So this guy I was dating, and y'all are gonna know exactly who I'm talking about as I begin to speak. We were dating. So actually, I ran into him last night. And he made a comment to me, essentially like that our dating experience, or like us having dated, would have been a lot different to how he lived in DC. And
nigga, please.
I don't even know what I took away from that even still, but what I will say is in dating him, I think at the time he was very not comfortable with himself, and so perhaps he was saying, you know, when he was in DC, he was more comfortable and more aligned and more, you know, of himself, but he was not living in DC at the time, so I feel like he just was not the best version of himself. And I feel like a lot of times in that relationship, he tried to show up in a way that it was more masculine than what was actually there. And I recognized it was actually there, and it was actually a conversation between him and I that we wouldn't even be dating if you were as masculine as you thought you were, because that's not even what I'm attracted to. And I don't think he realized how narrow the glass between what he thought he was showing me versus what was actually there was. Because I'm not attracted to most. Like when I was like younger, like 17, I might have been trade and like bitch couldn't nothing feminine touch me. That's actually crazy. But like as I've gotten older, like more open-minded, like, and just understanding of who people are, specifically like queer people, that is like, I'm not really interested in something overly masculine, or at least pretending to be. And so I would say now, I would argue that he's a lot more comfortable with himself, or maybe he's always been, just not with me, but it just was, that amongst many other things led to like a very, very terrible dating experience between he and I. And I think that's relevant to the DC conversation because he did reside in DC at some point, and I almost don't want to say that he went to Howard University as well.
I don't even know who he's talking about.
Great.
Who that is.
Oh, because the other one did too.
Oh.
Justin.
Keep it eye for Selena.
I got a couple. It's either the white dude.
I be telling the girl, stop dating non-black men.
And you know what? It's crazy you say that, because in theory, I like dating white men, but in practice, it's a lot harder than it seems.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like, unfortunately, my best dating experience was with a white man, but also my worst dating experience in a way as well. I feel like he was very nurturing. I ain't never had to spend no money when I was with him. He had a really good personality, but it was the whiteness. It was the whiteness. I think sometimes white people date black people before they're ready to be dating a black person. And as a white person, there's this unawareness that you aren't aware of because you're fucking unaware. And taking black people into spaces that you're unaware of them not being welcomed in is dangerous. And I really feel like for me to be with a white person, they would have to have done the work. And unfortunately, to have done that work, they either have to be raised around a significant amount of black people, they have to date a significant amount of black people, or they got to be a culture vulture. And I don't know. I feel like
there's like a level of awareness and experience missing
yes.
for it to belong.
Yes, I think in theory, and this is even outside of white men and just people in general, I think in theory I make a good partner, but I don't think people realize like when you are dating someone, you don't necessarily take on their issues, but you're more than likely to be affected by their proximity. And I don't think that he was aware of like, yes, I may be passable, whatever you want to call it, but at the end of the day, I'm still black and I'm still trans. If somebody's to clock my T in the wrong place, that's dangerous. If I'm somewhere and black people aren't welcome, that's dangerous. If it's both, like, I'm looking at you crazy. So, yeah, I think my last experience with dating a white man was probably one of my darker tales, for sure.
Oh, it's my turn.
It's your turn.
I really have been sitting here trying to think, like, what is my worst experience? And I feel like all of them. Like, all of them, because men just really pissed me the fuck off. I'm trying to think of one, like, in particular that I can, like, I don't know. Do y'all remember one? Because it's been a few.
We could talk about...
Because I'm drawing a blank.
We could talk about light bright.
Which one is light bright?
Horse. You're not picking up, don't put down.
Horse, light bright.
Like horse.
Oh! Oh. Yeah, we can talk about him. Actually, I actually talked to him the other day, but
It's to me.
it wasn't anything crazy. He DM'd me something and I was like, yeah, girl, okay. That one in particular, you know what, honestly, I should have known that was going to work out because on the first day he did mention his ex at one point.
Oh.
Yeah, I just thought about that. He did.
It's so funny, like, just going back, like, and dating and, like, really, like, analyzing, like, those small, like, things that, like, were really big that you just kind of missed out on and, like, kind of just jumped over.
Yeah. Essentially, I don't think he was ready to actually date somebody non-binary. I think he liked the idea of that, but when we really would talk about it and get into it, like, he would say he understood, but I don't really think he ever really understood. Like, I think he kind of looked at me as like he was dating a girl, and I kept telling him that's not what's happening here.
Tell me you illiterate,
but you're not dating a girl.
Girl, you take off that hat, all that hair. You think you have a little bit more knowledge, like big ass head.
Yeah, 2 of those. But no shame. I'll give him that. He had a little piece on him, but he did not have a little piece on him up here. Like that
piece was. You know what, they took it from up here.
They put it all in that head, not another one. We went on a date. The date, it was good except for that X part, and then we went out afterwards. That was cute, and he kept talking about the second date. Second date never happened. I would try to like call and text. That wouldn't really work either. So it wasn't like a terrible experience, but it was one of the ones where I was like, okay, maybe we will start dating, and then he showed his ass. So I was like, you know what?
And you just made me think of another question, because I think I'd say arguably for the queer scene in DC, nightlife is probably one of the most prominent things for our community out here. And so with that, how do you guys even feel about going out with like someone you're dating or What has that experience been?
You being messy. you being messy.
No, he being a good journalist.
You're a blogger.
Joggers.
Well,
I mean, I could start if that'll help.
no. I couldn't.
Okay.
I think. Actually, okay, I'll say this. If you go on the first date with a dude, right, and he want to go out afterwards, I say go, because how he act in the club and how people react to him in the club is going to tell you everything you need to know before you really get into something deep with him. So, honestly, I'm all for it. He said go to, but you got to run, actually. Yeah. I'm here for it, actually. I think it's smart.
Yeah. I think... I'm an outside bitch, and I think over the last few months I've really come to terms with that. Like, I enjoy going out, I enjoy nightlife. There may be some things to unpack behind that, and why I do. We're not here to do that. We're here to talk about, like, that is something that I actually enjoy, something that, like, I'm excited that you see we got on our Friday's best because we're going out after this. And so I think that bringing someone I'm dating into a space like that with me is important beyond just what Dylan said about, like, you know, kind of just getting to see, like, you know, who a person is based on, like, how they respond and how other people respond to them in that space.
Everything you need now.
Yeah, but I also think, like, for me, it's like, you know, bringing, like, someone into, like, a sense of joy for me. Like, bringing someone into, like, kind of my space and the way I operate in that space. And so I feel like it can be tricky, right? Because alcohol and faggots do not go together.
Oh!
Wait, should I say that again?
We don't believe it. We don't believe it.
Okay.
Because we going to get flat boots if you keep that in there.
That does not that does not go together. You give a horny gay, you know, some alcohol and
he just struck a nerve.
oh my god. They turn into something else. And so I think yes, like it is like bitch, because you might think, you know, this is my man, I got this on lock, bitch, and you go to the club and 8 other niggas think the same thing.
For everybody.
But I also think like there's a way to exist in that space with a level of couth and decorum, and so you can go to that space and, you know, somebody might know a lot of people in there, but it's just that, like, you know, those boundaries are in place. So I think it can be, it could go either way, to be honest.
I think in my experience, because I haven't gotten there yet. Like with a man that I'm dating, I haven't gotten to the point where I'm comfortable with him being in my safe spaces. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that mostly I date straight men or men that think they're straight, and a lot of them aren't willing to compromise their ego when dealing with a trans woman due to their proximity to being queer, even though being with a trans woman is such a nuanced thing, because I attract men and women of so many different sexualities, and the common denominator is that most times those men or women don't know where to place me, and in not knowing where to place me, I don't know where to place them. So I wouldn't fully trust them in my safe space, because I don't know, like, if somebody is super duper flamboyant, am I going to hear a comment about that? If somebody, like, tries to talk to them and they don't feel comfortable because they don't know what the person is, that's going to be an issue. Like, it's so many nuances to why I don't think that I would never bring someone I'm dating to a gay club, but I'm very intentional with the way that I vet the people that I date. So I'm actually very manipulative if I want if I want to keep it real. If I ask a question flat out, most people are not going to give me the answer that I need. So I kind of lure them into telling me the truth, and with that truth, I know how to move forward. And I think most times than not, the truth shows me that they shouldn't even be allowed in my safe space. let alone dating me.
You gonna work it, girlfriend? Yeah, so it's DC Black Pride this weekend. So with that being said, we'll see how that goes. I feel like every holiday weekend with the influx of men that come into DC, it can either go real good, real cute, real fun, or it can go the other way. We'll see this weekend.
My weekend been real cute, real fun so far.
Yeah, we only in. Well, this is day 2 now.
Fun last night.
And I had a ball last night. I twirled and I twirled and I twirled and I twirled. But I will say the niggas is outside. They are very much so here and they are queer. I'm gonna see what it's giving this weekend. However, I'm not with the weird stuff with the whole non-binary thing. So if we can't even get past that, I don't. So we can just.
Well, you know the girls be gay until they get a little look at their system. Then
they looking at you, mamas.
They like. So who doing the business? Not you, boo.
I don't know if you remember, this man literally in the club had like asked me like, what do I do? And I was like, you asked me about my job. He was like, you know I'm not asking about your job. And I was like,
oh. But you know what? That happened last year at Bullpen when that guy told me I would make a lot of money if I went to Miami. You remember when he said that?
That's nuts, though.
Yes. And
what do you mean by that?
And see, honestly, that's another thing with dating in DC. A lot of these men be thinking that you. Ooh, I don't want to say that. How can I put this? I think some gender non-conforming people and some trans people, they may be a little bit more eager to give it up, and that's why they think that you can just say anything, or it's just because you're just a man and you're gross. But I feel like the men here, they treat us like little sex kittens or like little sex dolls. Like they think we gonna overly give it up, because I mean, I guess there are a lot of trans and queer people in sex work because they have to survive, but just because somebody in sex work does not mean that they overly easy either.
I'm about to.
That's what I was trying to say. There we go.
I'm about to pull this all together for you. I think that comes back to the
pull it together now.
Patriarchy and misogyny and hating women and just like femininity being excluded from a lot of places, and so people kind of resorting to desperate measures at times, whether that be sex work or whether that shows up in them, you know, giving it up easy to someone who's finally showing them attention. And I kind of want to bring this conversation into some more intimate talk, because I think that perceived masculinity like is really kind of broken down in that space, because like it does not get much more intimate than like sex, like in being naked and like sharing that kind of bond with someone. And I think like a lot of these people that, you know, you might think it's one thing when you get into the bedroom based on how they act and what they gave, and it's like something completely different.
You get into the bedroom, now they, you like,
oh,
you like, okay.
Even like for me, as someone more feminine presenting, like I still do identify as a gay man, and I have gay men body parts, and those like
gay man body parts.
Just very
trans body parts.
Yeah, like and very well. Ken got a coochie, so but very like
get a nut.
I like to be pleasured in that way as well, and I don't feel like that's always taken seriously as someone who is.
So you doing the bit,
you know, feminine presenting, and yeah, sometimes I like to. I think that was also like a. Oh my God, and really like like if you think of like the relationship I just got out of, I hate that I'm saying this on camera, and
everything can be cut and sliced.
Yes, and so just the last 2 major relationships in my life, I feel like that was like a conversation that came up, because I'm like, you know, even though I'm presenting this way, that is not, we need to learn to separate someone's appearance from their sexuality, from what may pleasure them in the bedroom, because those do not they may overlap, but they are not synonymous. And so I like feel like I'm constantly having to like explain people like I don't always want to bottom. I don't always want to be penetrated. Like sometimes I want to penetrate. So it's like I think there's like some unpacking around that to do as well.
It's crazy you talk about that because me and my therapist were just talking about, just in my personal experience of being a woman, how a lot of womanhood is performance. And with you saying that now, I'm thinking just in general, existing in a way in which you're attracted to men and pursuing dating men is a performance. And I think so many times as a trans woman who, I'm not saying I'm emotionally unavailable, but I have my moments. And I know sometimes I may want to date you long term. Sometimes, this is only for tonight and we never gonna talk again. Don't text me. And I feel like in a casual instance, men expect me to perform heavily to the extent where even if we're not doing anything but having adult time in the bedroom, they want me to have my hair done, my nails done. They want me shaved bald. They want me makeup done. I'm like,
it's not really.
We're not going anywhere.
Not organic.
Exactly, it's not organic at all. And
why would I be fucking you on makeup done?
I had this one dude who he was trying to use manipulation tactics on me, but I'm already manipulative, so I knew what he was doing.
Oh.
And I let him talk. And I asked him. I said, "Okay, so if I told you I'm not having sex with you until you get a haircut, how you gonna feel?" And then it was, okay, so you realize what you're saying affects me this way, but you don't give a fuck until it's you.
Right.
I'm good. And that's why I haven't had sex since last July.
Oh. No, I can't
So
believe
not
that
last
We're
night?
going to have to talk about that. We have to talk about that.
Bitch,
I had a night too, child. I'm not talking about that one. Because that's still developing as we speak.
Oh, no,
so
it's developing. The picture's formed.
No, it's painted clear.
he was trying to paint something for sure last night.
Oh.
For sure.
Yeah, it's what I say, F and F.
And that's fine, but like y'all, like that's another thing with these men in DC. Like it's a way to do things, and they just don't do it.
They don't got no fucking clues.
They don't have any clues. Like I feel like, we can do like a little flirty flirt, little sexy talk in the club, but like the way you do it is going to either turn me on or turn me off. And last night,
it's a level of class needed.
It's a level of class needed. And it's like last night, did it turn me on a little bit? Yes, but also yes, but also like, can you have a little bit of cookie? But we in the middle of the club and you, anywho, like I just feel like there's a way to do stuff. Like you like rev up the engine a little bit. Like don't you just trying to?
Baby, he turned the car on and said, "All right, where's my next destination?"
He turned the car. He said, "Let's go." Like,
yeah. I'm about to gather real quick because I think like I've developed this question or thought of whether or not people, including us, that live out here are actually serious about dating and what that may mean and showing up in that way, or if we even have like the knowledge of like what that may truly take. And I think
sure as hell don't.
I was gonna say I think it can.
I just know what I like and don't like.
Yeah, I think it can. It's nuanced because, like, obviously, like everyone's relationship isn't the same, but I don't like. Sometimes I feel like there was a time out here where I was dating literally just to figure out what I liked and didn't like about people, and I think that there could have been people in that experience that, you know, maybe could have developed something. I think I'm just such a what if ass bitch. I think that's what it is, because I truly, deep down in my soul, wholeheartedly, 100%, without doubt, believe that, like, the utmost certainty, none of the people I dated in the circumstances in which we were dating were the right person, or that, like, it was compatible. Like, I do believe that, because if it was, it would have worked out. And just like, but I think a lot of times I gaslight myself into, like, okay, well, what were you doing, or what were you not doing, or like, how were you showing up? And I think that paired with just like trying to date in DC, like, as y'all can see, the last people I seriously dated were not living in DC.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know what
Thank
it
God.
is about the men out here. The dating pool is so,
It's a mess.
Yeah.
I think there's only, I think a big problem with that is there's only one type of person that exists here, and if there's 100 gay men cosplaying as one person, you could imagine that 99% of it is not organic.
Yeah. I agree.
Cosplaying as a person they'll never be, by the way. So
Oh.
there's that.
To piggyback off of what you were saying, I think, at least in my personal experience, I feel like if I was to come across a man that was intentional and showed up in a way where I was like, you know what, I can take you seriously, I would lock in. But I'm such a pattern recognition, searching for the red flags, I don't trust men bitch. So it's like, you really can do something that somebody else would be like, okay, whatever, and I'm gonna be like, no, I'm cool, you blocked.
Yeah.
And
That's what they be having the game.
I think it has its pros and cons for sure, but it makes the journey harder, because it's like, okay, I'm going through like 20 niggas in 2 months, and I ain't kissed a nigga, I ain't hugged a nigga, because I'm dropping them all like flies, because they're just all just showing up in ways that don't align with what I'm looking for. And it's exhausting, but I do know that, like, when it comes down to it, if somebody was to approach me and they were to show up type A, intentional, with good character, I would lock in, and I think I could find myself in something long term.
I think I've demonstrated in many ways also the ability to lock in, so to speak, because I think for that, like, I need to be able to show up in a space fully, because I'm an Aries, and so I feel like that, like, as much as I try to combat it, when I'm feeling like threatened in a space, I go to the extreme often. And in going, like, in conjunction with going to the extreme, I'm also someone who, like, doesn't always know how to let go, and like tries to hold on to things. And so you can just imagine, like, that extreme pull and like the frustration and mental drain that, like, comes with pursuing dating in that way.
What do you got for us?
I don't know. I don't really know what else to add. I feel like I didn't really done these niggas in this episode.
You never did enough.
Yeah, I know. I'm really not seeing it for the DC man. I will say, when I was living in New York, I really was having it my way. Like, there was one person,
or the highway.
Like, I was dating, like, it was fun, but like, I feel like here, I can't even get on a date with a nigga. Now, is some of that probably me? Yes. But also, I just like, if you want to get to know me, you want to court me, whatever, just take me on a fucking date. That's, like, it's really just that easy. You say, hey, I want to get to know you. Can you be here at this time? I want to go here. Da-da-da-da. Like, is that too much to ask for? Yes, in DC it is.
Something I would like to do in this conversation is, like, let's display some accountability in terms of the ways that we feel like we could show up better as well in dating, like some of the things that we may be responsible for. And I just thought of that with what you were saying last, because I know, like, and we talk about this like a lot, or I've said this to you a lot, just specifically as it pertains to like also showing up in like the ways that you are asking of others. Because I think that with everything that we're discussing right now, and clearly being against like the patriarchy and the way that misogyny shows, and like just how that just kind of trickles down to like the ways in which our dating experiences are affected based on our identities and the way that we present, I think it's important to also talk about the ways that we use that patriarchy to our advantage. Because, and I will admit to this, when a man that I am dating shows me that in any capacity that like he is adhering to gender roles, I play into that. Like, and so if I feel like I'm pushed into this box of like being only one way because of my feminine presence most times, and you think that it means one thing of me, then I inversely make you show up that way. And so like, you know, if I have to be the girl in this relationship, well, when we're out, I'm not driving, I'm not paying for anything, like, you know, things like that. And I think that even outside of having those dating experiences where that shows up before that, I think there can be like this expectation of, specifically speaking for me, like as a gay man, expecting another gay man to show up one way, even though in a lot of what I say I'm against that. An example of that is just like wanting to be pursued or wanting to be taken care of in some ways, even though like in all the ways I'm very self-sufficient. And so like, what do you guys think is like your flaws as it pertains to like dating, or like how you show up, or like your expectations that may go against all of the things we're like clearly expressing that we dislike about, you know, dating out here?
Oh, I definitely don't text back.
Oh.
Like, I'm just gonna keep it a buck. Like, I do not be texting these men back. Like, no. But I do tell them, like, if you call me, I will. Can't even say I answer. Yeah. That's my bad. When it comes to like dating and men, like I be wanting them to be really responsive, but I'm not. So that's not really fair to them. But I don't know. Like, I guess I could like, I try to compromise with them. Like, okay, maybe we do FaceTime calls, or maybe we do audio messages so we can still communicate. But that like texting all day, can't do that one. We can do audio messages though, not like physical texting.
I think mine would be sometimes. I think boundaries are good. I think standards are good. I think sometimes though, for just an enrichment of dating, sometimes I maybe can just go with, not even go with the flow, but see where it's going before I shut it down. I feel like a lot, not even a lot, but sometimes before I can come up with a legitimate out, I can create an out, and that's just emotional avoidance. We ain't gotta talk about that. But I do think as of late I've been giving fair chances. I just think I need to get better with the pursuit of the sever. I think a lot of times, and my therapist and I have talked about this, I could be a raging bitch, I can. And if I feel disrespected, now I have to belittle you.
Oh.
So I feel like my biggest thing to tackle is knowing when to walk away politely, but also not having so high expectations that even when it's like down to like a little fun situation, you turn it down because they did one thing wrong. And I think that probably is the autism. Who knows? I think I just have
the talent on y'all.
I'm telling you. I have very rigid standards for the places and people in my life. Like, when men approach me and they want to be friends, I tell them, when you're in the friend place, you're not leaving the friend place. So if you want to be my friend, you're going to be my friend. If you want to have sex with me, you want to sleep with me, you want to date me, that's a whole completely different person. Because if you're my friend, you get part of me it exists with the person I'm dating, but I take my friendship seriously because friendships are a part of community. And I think so many times and not, men see friendships as these gateways to women, where if they play the waiting game long enough, it's like, at some point she's going to give in. And I'm the girl, once I see you as a friend, it becomes vulnerable and intimate to the point where I almost see you as a sibling. I don't want to fuck my sibling, so we can't do anything. And I think in me setting boundaries with the men that I'm either friends with, having sex with, or dating, I think they want more of a gray area of all of them, and I need a black and white. If we're just friends, we're just friends. If we're sleeping around, we're sleeping around. If we're dating, we're dating. You can't hop in between any three of them. You either pick one or get the fuck out of my face. And yeah.
And I want to say, because you just reminded me, this is a PSA. In any capacity, dating, being romantic, or just being intimate with someone requires a level of intentionality, and I feel like that is missed on a lot of people, and that can very easily lead to like that gray area you were speaking of, or just like ambiguity in relationships, which is something I've learned that I do not like. You will never ever, like, something I really love about you, Akira, is that like this bitch got boundaries to the max. And without those boundaries, because that's something I often lack, and I feel like if, like, when I start dating a guy, if like he initially checks, just in my experience with like dating, it just has to be so intentional no matter what it is, because like that intentionality gets lost a lot of times, and like without those proper boundaries in place, like you can very easily end up in a gray area with someone kind of just floating and seeing where it goes, and like honestly that never goes well, especially for the person who did not initiate that way of like existing in whatever, you know, that space is.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like a lot of times people don't know what they want from themselves, so they can't expect anything from you. So many of these men that we come in, I'm gonna just say we come in contact with.
And so confession, I read, maybe we could talk about who it is after the camera's cut, but I read this guy I used to date, his journal one time. And I remember I had told him, you don't know what you want from me, yourself, or the world.
Yeah.
And I think I really struck a nerve because like he wrote that down in the journal, like, you know, like Eric said, da 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 da. And I was like, I guess like, I said that then and I understood it, but I think, and part of it is just kind of getting in the mix of like going with the flow. I kind of lost a lot of the discernment I had as it pertained to dating, because like just even thinking back to that now, like that is really the case for like a lot of people. And so like you're wanting to show up in a space, but you don't even know how to show up in the space because you can't even show up for yourself organically.
Yep, exactly.
It's not organic.
Exactly.
It's not organic. Yeah. No, I haven't. I feel like I'm just on here just going in on these. But like honestly though, I will say, in a lot of I guess the failed ones in the more recent months, that was kind of my fault. So in one breath, it is these niggas, but in another breath, it is me as well. Yeah, I can say that with some confidence for sure.
I mean, I think we can long enough. We can now end it and start.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you for joining in on our TED Talk on Fuck These Niggas. I'm his.
I'm hers.
I'm theirs.